in the heat and in the cold and in the rain and in the mud is in itself just uncomfortable. Really though, making a film is a collaborative enterprise, and to wear a mask when you're working with these great artists and trying to build to better ideas or solve complex challenges is inhibiting. There's something about the rapport that's formed outside of when you can see someone's face and connect and not be 6 feet apart that is meaningful. And in the world of the sort of warfare of making movies, there's something lost in that human connection that's not allowed to form in the same way. And just the exhaustion and the frustration that comes with all aspects of it. For me as a producer, and for Danny and for Alan and for some of our producerial crew and the studio for sure, there's a added layer, which is the anxiety. Usually it takes so much to mount a film that when you start shooting, it's a joy and it's kind of the prize for all that effort. But in COVID, every day of shooting is just an opportunity to shut down. So that anxiety that I think a lot of people have been living with more broadly in society, of just, the idea of what happens if I get COVID or my kid gets COVID, or even if you never catch it, we're all living with the psychological effects. I think that's really ratcheted up when you're making a movie, which is every day, this one person in this house of cards could shut it all down, cost millions of dollars, derail our schedule. An actor's schedule might not align, and then suddenly they have to leave. I mean, the amount of problems that the ramifications of that type of minuscule event are potentially catastrophic. And so the nightly and daily stress that you wake up with, every time I get a call from our COVID coordinator, my heart starts to race. You know what I mean? And we've been incredibly lucky. So if we make it through the next few days without a case, we will have achieved something really great, and we should all be really proud, because now it's in the middle of Delta. And a lot of productions are shutting down. We've had an extraordinary COVID team. People have taken it really seriously. No one has balked when asked to wear goggles on set or to move their mask up above their nose. So I just give huge credit to our crew. But my hope is that we can get out of these masks soon. I don't think it's going to be, I think it'll be a couple of years we're still living in these things. Yeah, in a way, it's a new sort of structure for everyone involved. This is the first film that MRC and Netflix are doing. I think they're doing another one in parallel, but they had not previously done a movie. And MRC is sort of an interesting company because they function often as both sort of production partner, but also studio. And they hadn't really ventured into the streaming world until this film. The movie started, MRC was on board this movie before I was, just marginally before. But Matt set up this script at MRC without a producer, and they were looking for a producer. And my relationship with Matt put me in the mix, and we all joined forces. And it was an amazing partnership because I love, first of all, there's all these tropes about studios we don't need to get into, but I love my studios. I respect my studios, both because of the financial investment and the time and infrastructure they're putting into a movie, but because they often, if they're good, as in this case they were, they make the movie better. They give you some, they keep you honest because there's some other influence that you have to make sure that you're clearing some bars. So from the very start, they were really immersed in the script, in the casting, in the strategy, all of it. They were just amazing partners, but always respectful of the creative process and Matt's vision, but always pushing against it. You know what I mean? And always making it better and challenging us to do better. And truly both in the script and the packaging and the strategy of it made it better at every element. And just grateful to have partners that are actually in the trenches and not too spread thin, to be in the real weeds. I mean, like down to mini scenes and I mean tiny little problems. Like they really are a full immersive studio. And then Netflix has been an absolute dream. Like truly, they're not paying me to say that. I've worked with a lot of studios, had a lot of good relationships with studios. This specific team of executives on the film side of Netflix has been the best I've ever worked with. And they've just, the balance they've had of giving us space to run and deal with challenges that arose at every element from prep through production, but also never in an imposing way, always asking us, is this the best? You know, is this the best version of this scene? Is this the best version of the actor you see for this role? Is this the best version of the wardrobe? You know, it's never a change this or do this. It's, I saw it this way. Let's talk about it. And always with such passion and energy and enthusiasm. And really, this is it's Lisa, Ivana, Naroki, Leah. It's an amazing group. They're technically the indie group, and they stretch the definition of that to give us the means to have a crane on set every day and to have the visual effects company, one of us out of the UK who does the best work and really afford the best crew, in a competitive landscape. So just on every level, it's been an amazing partnership where MRC is our kind of initial layer with Netflix as the kind of grandfather, was just an amazing dream team that I think Matt would probably say has made him a better filmmaker and has forced me and Danny to really be on our game from a producer standpoint. When I was a kid, my parents are immigrants. I grew up with no context, no even potential seed of an idea that a dream of being a filmmaker was possible. No one in my world or life was connected to it or in any way encouraged it. So every day that I get to step on a set, watch a camera roll, see incredible actors do their best work, and watch the magic of smoke and visual effects and kids running and all the trickery that is involved in filmmaking reminds me that I'm the luckiest person in the world, and I don't take a single day of it for granted. I always feel like the kid. I often as a kid wrote a letter to Steven Spielberg saying, like, I'll come on and just bring you donuts and coffee every day if you let me come to your sets and just watch you work for one day. That was my dream. And to now tell a story and make a movie of this scale that so clearly pays homage to his work, it just feels like an absolute privilege. One of the thrills for me is discovery. The discovery of these two children, Quinn and Jaden, was both something that created a lot of anxiety and fear going into the process of casting with our extraordinary casting director, Deb Zane, who also works with Spielberg, and that's how she met Matt. Everyone was asking, MRC, me, Matt, how are we going to find these kids? We need a lot of time to find these kids. And then Matt's like, I found them. We got them. We got these kids. And when you saw their auditions, immediately we knew Jaden and Quinn were our Jake and Chloe, which was also scary because there was no second choices. And they were in demand from other big studio movies because people were getting hip to these kids. And the fact that we were, thank God, I think they were just so obsessed with the idea of making a movie with Halle Berry that they chose her and us, and also just responded to the script and Matt. But to watch these kids both grow as actors, come to life on screen, make us cry and laugh every day, and have the time of their lives, was just such an amazing thrill. I've worked with kids before and amazing kids, but that was a very specific thrill of this movie. Another, of course, is working with Halle Berry. People say don't work with your heroes, and I think she totally disproved that. She is a movie star, an Oscar winner, an icon, someone we've watched forever. And to watch how she took responsibility for being number one on the call sheet, a producer alongside us, and the importance of telling this story, and both the privilege of telling this story, but the obligation to get it right. And she just set a tone of just elegance, dignity, and graciousness, and just an unbelievable work ethic, an unbelievable passion for both the physical and the emotional, and I think a real champion of Matt. I think always showing a real partnership with Matt that gave confidence to the entire crew, that says, I believe in him, and he's really rising to the occasion, so you guys come on this journey with us. And it just created a family environment. We were telling a story about a family, and I think the movie behind the movie was very much that same story. Individually, we knew Quinn and Jaden were special. Obviously, Halle's amazing, and we'll talk about Omari, who's just extraordinary. Watching the four of them come together for the first time, there's always, on every movie, there's a moment when I know we have the potential for something, and for this movie, it was the four of them come together and genuinely be in love. I felt awkward about their own life partners because it felt so organic. The four of them, they would go to the aquarium and they'd go play and they'd buy each other gifts and they'd go to dinner, and they looked like each other. They immediately connected to the love that would underpin the whole movie. Omari Hardwick has been one of my big discoveries on this movie. He's become an incredibly dear friend. He is easy to misjudge from just his physicality. He looks like a superhero. He looks like a movie star. His biceps are bigger than my head. He's incredibly charming and magnetic and charismatic. But he is a poet. He's so soulful. He's the biggest heart I've ever seen. And he's so serious about the work. He's an unbelievably nuanced and subtle actor. It was the one thing I was so happily surprised by is just how